gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the My Two Cents Podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. I am G2. This is episode 233 of the podcast. And first thing I'd like to do is welcome everyone to the show. I would like to welcome the first-time listeners and the returning listeners back to the program. And I would like to tell all the first-time listeners what this program consists of. The Sunday edition of the My Two Cents Podcast consists of me, G2, talking to you guys about some of the big news topics that went down this week. Now, sometimes some of the news topics will be about things that happen in other countries, but primarily it'll be happening about things that happen over here in the United States. So I just want to get that out the way first and foremost. Now, with that being said, I would like to also state, please do not stress over things that are not important in your life, because stress is one of the most deadliest and silent killers that people kind of underestimate until you're out of here. Now, stress plays a big factor in everyone's life. Stress can hurt you when you're not knowing of it. Stress can hurt you when you're dealing with physical anguish or even mental anguish, because when you're dealing with either ballpark, when you add stress onto it, it just puts you in a more downward spiral, and I don't want people to feel that way or want people to be in a downward spiral, if you will. I would like for people not to be dealing with as much stress. I know stress comes with the territory of being either an adult, a teenager. It's part of life, but I do not want people to carry so much stress that you start going down. You know what I mean? So please do not stress over things that do not matter. Stress over things that actually do matter, and take care of that. Take care of those things that matter to you. Okay? Now, with that stated, now it's time for me to move on to your National Food Days of the week. Today being June the 22nd, it is Onion Ring Day as well as Chocolate Eclair Day. June the 23rd will be Pecan Sandy Day. June 24th will be Parlene's Day. June 25th will be Catfish Day as well as Strawberry Parfait Day. June 26th will be Chocolate Pudding Day. June 27th will be Orange Blossom and Onion Day. And to round this out, June the 28th will be Tapioca Day and Ceviche Day. Now, with the National Food Days out of the way, now it's time for me to move over into some of the news stories that I will be discussing with you guys on today's episode. The first one that I will be talking about is a CNN news story, and the article would read, Chinese student who drugged and raped 10 women in the UK and China sentenced to life in prison. The article would state a serial rapist who was convicted of raping 10 women in the United Kingdom and China has been jailed for life with a minimum term of 24 years. Zhenhao Zhu, 28, was sentenced Thursday at Inner London Crown Court. Judge Rosina Cottage told him he was served 22 years and 227 days before he was eligible for parole, taking into account time spent on remand, according to the UK's PA media. Zhu was found guilty in March of 11 counts of rape, 1 count of false imprisonment, 3 counts of voyeurism, and a number of other offenses, including the possession of extreme pornographic images and the possession of a controlled drug with the intent to commit a sexual offense. Many other victims were unconscious and rendered defenseless after being drugged, according to the prosecutors. Police and prosecutors said Zhu, who also used the name Pakho, online contacted students of the Chinese heritage on WeChat and dating apps, inviting them to his apartments in London and China to drug and assault them. The police said he also took items from his victims, including jewelry and clothing. The UK's Crown's prosecution service said Zhao filmed some of the attacks using a mobile device and hidden cameras. The police said he manipulated and drugged women in order to prey on them in the most cowardly way. Zhao was a PhD student at the University College London. He was arrested in January 2024 after one of his victims came forward to police. Now, that's the information on this student who ended up being a serial rapist. Zhao, he has been jailed for a considerable amount of time now. I'm going to say this right now. First and foremost, nobody, and I mean nobody, should be taking advantage of anybody. Neither man nor female nor anybody should be taking advantage of anybody. You shouldn't be drugging anyone. You shouldn't be sexually assaulting or sexually abusing someone's lifeless body, or whenever they're just not in their right mind. You shouldn't be taking advantage of them. Let me make that perfectly clear before I say the next things I'm about to say here. If you happen to commit a crime like this, because you're not supposed to do it, but we live in the reality world, and reality states that, certain things like this is going to happen. You have seen television shows and you've seen movies, right? And you've heard news stories about this exact same thing. If you happen to commit this nasty, heinous type of crime, you should not be taking any type of items off of your victims that you're doing something nasty to. You shouldn't be trying to take no clothing from them. You shouldn't be trying to take no jewelry from them. And you should not be taking any type of documentation of the crime that you're doing to their lifeless bodies. That makes absolutely no sense what this guy did here. It's like he was begging to get picked up, or he was going to just relish in what he did. And those are the weirdest and sickest type of people, if we're going to be honest with you. Because when you do a crime, you don't want no type of evidence, no type of remembrance of said crime around you at all. The only time that I could believe that you would think you would want any type of remembrance of the crime that you did is if you robbed a bank, or robbed someone of some high fashion jewelry, because you're going to try to flip the jewelry and get money off of that. But other than that, anything else, you shouldn't be trying to keep anything of that crime around you after you committed the crime. So once again, I do want to preference this by saying I am not a criminal. I do not condone criminal behavior when people do something nasty like this. So let me make that perfectly clear when I say all of that. But we are living in the real world. And again, if people happen to do things like this, which we do know they do, you shouldn't have any type of things around you. You shouldn't have the items, the remembrance of that situation with you if you are the person that happened to do these things to someone. So this guy, again, my personal opinion, he was begging to get caught. He was begging for the police to roll up on him and catch his stuff and get all the evidence that they needed to basically lock him up and throw away the key. And I'm not mad at it, because again, when you do something like this, when you do something nasty like this, it's going to come out into the light. And I am happy that this person is jailed. And again, they say jailed for life, but they said minimum terms of 24 years. So we'll have to wait and see how long truly is going to be. But I believe it's a UK jail. This ain't a Chinese jail, even though he did commit the crimes over in the UK and China as well. So I would like to know if after he's done in the UK, they're going to try to send him over to China and they're going to try to prosecute him there for the acts. Because again, you did violent acts on two separate countries. And again, for you to get caught here and you got evidence of the assaults from your personal stash, I'm pretty sure they're able to get in contact with the Chinese government, the police station over there, and hand them over the evidence over there as well. So again, I don't know. I just know homeboy's life is basically done. So for being a stupid idiot and doing all the nasty and heinous things that you did, you're out of here. You're finito. And I'm happy about it, if I want to be honest with you. Because nobody that's sick and nasty like this should be walking around. That's just my personal opinion on that one. So I'm happy that this guy did get caught. And I do want to give my love and thoughts to the women that did get hurt by this man. So again, I'm happy this guy is out of there, and I hope that the women do get some type of therapeutic help and speak to someone about their feelings about what happened to them. Now, moving off of that news story onto the next news story that I do want to discuss, and it's about a volcano that erupted or that shot lava, if you will, because there's a difference. Shot lava into the sky. They say about 1,000 feet up in the air. ABC News would write up about this. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano is erupting again in spectacular fashion, sending lava shooting 1,000 feet into the sky, according to the United States Geological Survey. On Friday morning, episode 26 of the ongoing eruption at Hawaii, this volcano spewed lava fountains that reached massive heights, according to USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory. Episode 26 was preceded by small, sporadic spattering and lava overflows, according to the USGS. Kilauea, one of the most active volcanoes in the world and located on the Big Island, has been especially active in the last several months, erupting dozens of times since December. In May, Kilauea also spewed lava more than 1,000 feet. On June 11th, eruptions at Kilauea measured at more than 330 feet, according to USGS. The current eruption began at 1:40 a.m. local time, with the lava fountains and flows erupting from the north vent, according to the USGS. Now, there has been no type of damage to anyone over there in Hawaii, as I've looked into that. So I do want to say I'm glad that no one has been hurt or injured off of the lava that has been spewing and shooting out since Friday. So that's one thing to note of that. Two, this just further reaffirms my thoughts on living in Hawaii or living on one of those little islands. I can't do it. I can't, bro. I can't do it because you have the volcanoes that can erupt at any time and can easily start sending lava shooting up into the air, flowing down, and it could destroy a village and just wipe it out at any moment whenever the lava feels active and ready to do so. And yeah, I'm not over that at all. I believe Tonga, they had some type of volcano eruption a couple years ago, and that kind of destroyed the island over there. I want to say that was back in 2022. I'm looking at it right now and say the volcano can indeed destroy an island, as seen with the Tongan volcano eruption in 2022. So yeah, 3 years ago that happened. I could have sworn there was another one, but that could probably be the one I'm talking about. But I have a lot of just thoughts about people living on islands right now. I understand that not all of them can get off the island and decide to move somewhere else. Certain people are rather take their chances because that's the only thing that they do know. But dog, that has to be a scary thing. That has to be whenever you get those type of notifications on your phones, or I believe they have a siren on the island whenever they tell you that the volcano is going to erupt, and you got to just be well adjusted some way, somehow, for if it does happen. But dog, that takes a lot of mental fortitude when that actually does happen, because you got to imagine you being born and raised on that island, volcanoes haven't erupted, no time in your life. You'll probably become 20, 21, 22, become your early stages of an adult, and then a volcano starts to erupt. That would have you question, okay, do I want to live on this island, or do I want to get off this island, try to go somewhere else? And then sometimes you got the grandfather, the grandmother, people there that are just saying, you know what, screw it, I'm here. If I go out, I go out. And that's just certain people's mindsets when it comes down to this type of stuff. But more power to everyone on the islands, in Hawaii, in Tonga, all the people on the islands that have volcanoes on them. I just want everyone to be safe. But again, no one has been hurt from the volcano spewing lava since Friday. So I do want to make that perfectly clear here. So again, I'm happy that no one did get hurt. But again, just keep everyone in your thoughts and in your prayers as things are happening around the world, okay? That's why I brought that to you guys here. And I want to pose to everyone the question, do you think you could live on an island? I know people do vacations on the islands, but if you had the opportunity to, would you live in Hawaii? Would you live in Tonga knowing about the volcanoes? Would you still live there? That's just a That's just a question I'm throwing out to you guys. Me, I know I can't, but certain people, they take the risk. But who knows? Now moving off of that, I will have an update here on Anne Burrell. That was the Iron Chef lady that happened to pass away suddenly this past week. New York Times, I believe this is right. Yeah, New York Times is reporting that they're seeing that there's been an internal police document that states that Anne Burrell was discovered in the shower, unconscious and unresponsive, surrounded by approximately 100 assorted pills. So now they're investigating to see if her death was as a possible drug overdose. A medical examiner office spokeswoman said that the cause and manner of Burrell's death are still pending, but that an autopsy has now been completed. So probably, I'm not certain if they're going to give out the results from that autopsy this week. They might not. I'm pretty sure the family has the report of what took out their loved one, but man, just to think that someone could have just passed away from a drug overdose. Again, it tells you right then and there, you don't know what people are dealing with. People could be smiling. People can be so good in front of the camera, but you got to remember, everyone is kind of playing a character to a degree. Certain people don't wear a mask, but people in the entertainment space, they wear a mask a good majority of the time when they're out in the public. You got to think about that. The only time that I feel that the celebrities are not wearing a mask is whenever they decline giving people an autograph, or they're walking to their car and they're trying to get the paparazzi's trying to take photos of them or record them, and you see them walking fast, probably bypassing the paparazzi. That to me is when I feel that a person in that entertainment business is not having their mask on because they don't want to be photographed right now. They don't want to be video record right now. They just want to just do their business and just try to just live and go about their life. But again, they're in the entertainment space. They're a name. So they got to put a mask on. They got to be smiley. They got to kind of be chipper to a degree. They kind of talk to people whenever they're out if someone happens to walk up on them. So again, this right here, it just still boggles my mind because this woman, I would not have expected that. But again, they're looking into it and they are investigating this as a possible drug overdose. If that's the case, again, you have no idea what someone's dealing with. And if it's not the case, I hope that they let someone know that. But again, I'm pretty sure that the family does have the autopsy report, and they're just probably trying to figure out a way how they can relay this out to the public and not try to put any bad stigma on their loved one that has passed away. So again, rest in peace to Anne Burrell. And again, when more information comes out about her passing, I'll be back on this broadcast to tell everyone about it. Now, that's one update that I do keep you guys up to date about. The next update that I do want to bring to you guys is the Minnesota shooting suspect. FBI would come out to say that he was a prepper. BBC would write an article about it. They would say the suspect accused of fatally shooting a Minnesota lawmaker and her husband in a gun rampage last week was a doomsday prepper, according to the FBI. The wife of the accused, Vance Bolter, told investigators the family was among a small group of Americans who prepare for major or catastrophic incidences, said a court document. In the article, they will continue on and basically give a recap, saying that Bolter was charged with killing Democratic House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark last Saturday. He also seriously wounded Democratic State Senator John Huffman and his wife Yvette. Police said there was evidence he was planning to target others. They already mentioned that. Police captured Mr. Bolter in the woods last Sunday after a 2-day manhunt. His wife was pulled over in a traffic stop hours after the shootings. She was taking their 4 children to stay with friends, according to investigators. Jenny Bolter told authorities Her husband had warned her in a message that she should flee, documents show. The text started saying to the effect that they should prepare for war, they needed to get out of the house, and people with guns may be showing up to the house, wrote FBI agent Terry Gersh in an affidavit released on Friday. In her car, investigators found about $10,000 in cash, passports, and 2 guns. Ms. Bolter has not been charged with any crime. She said her husband had given her a bailout plan for what to do if she ever needed to leave the house. Ms. Bolter also said her husband had a business partner in the northwestern U.S. state of Washington, and that they ran a security company and fishing outfit called Red Line in Congo, Africa. Continuing on in the article, they will say, according to the Minnesota Star Tribune, Mr. Bolter wrote a rambling and incoherent letter addressed to the FBI in which he claimed the state's governor, Tim Walz, had ordered him to kill Minnesota's Senator Amy Klobuchar, I'm hoping I say her name right, as part of a supposed plot for Walz to take her spot in the Senate. Alright, now that's when we start getting into the conspiracy theories here, but here's the deal. Homeboy, to me, and I gotta say allegedly here, but to me it seems that Homeboy did do this, and I don't know all the politic games. I don't know if he was telling the truth about Tim Walz telling him to do this, but let me just state this first and foremost before I get into my opinion. Any political thoughts or any thoughts in general in this podcast that you do hear comes from the mind of one G2, Gerald Garrett. No one else. I have no political affiliation to Republicans or Democrats. I am one person, one mind, one thought. That is all mine, all right? There is no political agenda that will be pushed on this podcast at all. I just want to make that perfectly clear anytime I get into political talks. So with that being said, here's my opinion on this. Anything can happen in the world of politics. As we have seen, there are people starting to get touched. Lawmakers are starting to get touched. You just saw last year, people in the medical field, people getting touched there. So things are changing in this world now. I don't know if Tim Walz happened to communicate with this guy, Vance Bolter, and told him to take out these political people, these politicians, and do all these things. I don't know. Do I believe that could happen? Yes. Because anything can happen in the world of politics. Again, I've said it when it came down to the election, and I've said it since then. There are people behind the scenes making deals and shaking hands, people that are really running things, and you just got your public-facing people that's running things in the public, but really behind the scenes, they answer to a master. So again, I don't know what is true or not true. Can I believe someone like Tim Walz, who we, as the regular people that's living day by day, that really don't dig into politics, and we only knew of Tim Walz because he was I believe he was going to be the VP of Kamala Harris, if I'm not mistaken. Do I believe that he could have talked to this guy and said this or that? Maybe. Because again, politics is politics, and there's a lot of dirty, nasty things that happen in that world there. But there's a possibility that this is nothing but Homeboy just throwing something out there to the FBI just to try to hem up Tim Walz. Again, I have no idea. But what we do know, and factual, is there are people that did get shot from this incident, unfortunately, and people did happen to lose their life. And again, I don't want that to be the thing not really being discussed. A House Speaker and her husband got shot and killed last Saturday. And a state senator and his wife luckily happened to live from said shooting. And there was planning for more people to be shot as well. So again, I don't know if Homeboy is just fishing and throwing something out there, or he could be telling the truth, and this could just be one of those things that could just be, we are not going to investigate this. This is just something that's going to be left off into the back, and it could be true, it could not be true. Again, no one ever truly knows, but we only know the facts that we do know now. And what we do know now is that people did die from this, and people that did get shot could have died. And right now, Vance Bolter, he's the one holding the gun and holding the bag because he was the one that is being accused of doing said shootings. And he's going to have to face the courts when his time in the sun for trial is going to happen there. And it's just funny to me how they did not lock up the wife at all. You would think they would have locked up the wife if they found $10,000, passports, and 2 guns in her car, especially after what just transpired with her husband doing what he did. You would think they would try to at least lock her up on some type of charge of saying that you knew what was going to happen. But no, there was no charge at all handed to her, at least at the time of this recording. It could obviously change at any time because people are finicky in that world. But yeah, it's just still so weird to me about all this. But I do want everyone to know, if you're a politician, you can't get touched. The world is changing. So please be mindful of that. And also to everybody else out here in this world, please be mindful and careful of what you do. You don't know who you're going to be speaking to. You don't know what could be leading down your way. So please be careful with anyone that you do come in contact with. And please, once again, politicians, be careful with yourself as well. Because you don't know, it might be your own people trying to plot on you and take you out as well. So we'll wait and see what more news and more updates come up about this incident. I'll bring it back to this podcast here. So that's all the updates that I do have to bring to this podcast. Now, moving off of that, I do want to talk about Mahmoud Khalil being released from ICE custody and him speaking out for the first time after being released. USA Today would write up about it. Mahmoud Khalil emerged through the airport gate, fists raised and smiling to a cheering crowd as he pushed his newborn baby stroller with his arm around his wife, arriving at Newark International Airport the afternoon of June 21st, a day after a federal judge ordered his release from immigration detention. The 30-year-old Columbia University graduate and Palestinian activist vowed to keep up his advocacy. Standing with his family and Congresswoman AOC, he declared he wouldn't be deterred. Your words of support, your messages have kept me going, Khalil said in a brief remarks. Still, the fight is far from over. He planned to continue speaking out against what he called a genocide in Gaza and American support, including from Colombia, for Israel's siege of the Palestinian territory after the 2023 Hamas-led attacks in the southern Israel. Israel has denied these accusations, though some human rights observers have reached this conclusion. At the airport, Khalil approached the crowd to take a Palestinian flag from a friend, then draped it over the stroller of his son, who was born 2 months ago while Khalil was detained in Louisiana. Asked if he had a message for Trump administration, Khalil said, "My existence is the message. Palestinian existence is a message." So he's out. He's still going to be a voice for the Palestinian people. And again, I'm not mad at anybody going to protest anything. Again, you're in America, you get to protest. That's part of the reason why America it isn't the absolute best country. I mean, it's one of the more, I say, free-ranging countries that you can go to. But we still have our problems over here. However, you can protest. That's one of the reasons I think that a lot of people from other countries come over here, because they get to protest, they get to feel that their voice can be heard, they can make a difference, unlike in their country that they are originally from. So I'm happy that he's still, this guy, Mahmoud Khalil, he's out, he's with his wife, he's with his son now, and he's able to still lend his voice to this cause that he has. And again, you're in America, you should be able to do that. And I'll say this every time. Since you are in America, whether you're an American, you're not American, you're in America, guess what? You get to hear protests. You get to see people protest. Don't be a dick to it. If you have a problem with someone protesting and you don't like their opposing thoughts of yours, you can do two things. Either one, you could ignore it, or either two, you can go up to that person and question them on their belief against your belief. You can have a civilized debate. I believe that a civilized debate can happen in this world. If you live in this country, more specifically in America, you can have a civilized debate. You can have a civilized talk. It doesn't have to be a yelling bonanza, the way that you see people try to do it, or people get out of character and all that. No. I believe that a protest can happen. I believe that people can be civil. I believe that people can question other people at protests and gain knowledge or make people think or better people's thinking at protests. I believe those things can happen. I believe that that is just something that we don't see or is not pushed as much in the media. There's more people just want to be argumentative for argumentative sakes. But you're in America. Use your voice to speak up against things that you do not like, and I'm happy that this guy is doing so. And if you are with the Israelis and you feel that Israel's doing right, guess what? Speak up for them on their behalf too. Speak up for them. Challenge someone that's feeling that the Palestinians are right, and just have a civilized conversation. You guys might not come up with I'm not going to say a common ground, but I think every conversation should at least have some type of common ground. But you guys might not feel 100% what that other person's saying, but I feel in the conversation you at least can hear them out and at least hear and feel about a good 50 to 80 of what they're saying, at least in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I feel that way, truly. But again, you're in America, use your voice, protest, make the change that you want to see, and hopefully people at the top actually will see you and they'll want to work with you. That's what I am hoping for all the activists and the protesters out there. And I want everyone out there that's protesting and being an activist, please be safe out there, because people are idiots. People will do things. People will try to hurt you. People will try to do harmful to you, and I just don't want that to happen. So please be vigilant of that as well. But continue to be an activist. Continue to do the work that you feel is good, and continue being you. Now, moving off of that, I do want to talk about something that was so dumb that I did see on the interwebs this week. The New York Post would write up about it. They will say a drunk Southwest passenger who grabbed woman's hair in meltdown is New York artist who works with Steve Madden, Adidas, and Maybelline. The drunk passenger who grabbed a woman's hair and spat in her face during an explosive meltdown on a Southwest Airlines flight is a New York-based artist who has worked for high-end brands like Maybelline, Steve Madden, and Adidas, according to her online profile. Leanne Perry, a 32-year-old illustrator, was filmed berating fellow passengers and throwing a violent fit as travelers and airline employees tried to remove her from the plane at LaGuardia Airport earlier Tuesday morning. The bizarre outburst led witnesses to describe Perry as seemingly possessed before she was escorted off and arrested. Perry's social media and website, where she shares her art, revealed that when she's not ruining flights, she works as an artist and designer for several major brands, including Maybelline, Adidas, MAC, Steve Madden, Hot Topic, and Shein. She began working at Maybelline just last year as a leading designer. Perry also worked for fashion designers Bessie Johnson and Nicole Miller. Her online resume shows Perry, who police says was intoxicated when she was yanked off the flight before takeoff, was caught on camera yelling at a female passenger, calling her a fat ass bitch. Again, that's their words, and grabbing a fistful of hair. And also, that's the words that she said online too, so I should be able to say it. Continuing on, more expletives right here. Shut the fuck up and don't fucking touch me. Perry screamed at the bewildered woman. Video shows before other passengers and airline staff intervene. Now, I've seen the video, and let me just say this to you right now. First and foremost, this Perry woman should have got two-pieced up as soon as she grabbed the woman's hair. If you didn't see the video, it starts off with her on her phone. Looks like she's looking at the lady, still trying to talk smack. And it looks like she's gotten close to the woman. The woman is, she has a mask on her face. Perry ultimately just grabs her by the hair. Talks on smack to her. And you see passengers, you see employees go over trying to get this woman off this other woman's hair. And I mean, she has a fistful of it. Like, she got on her hair. And the other woman that got her hair yanked, she ain't even trying to move. She's just literally just sitting there, not moving her head, not an inch, not nothing. I think she said, get your hands off of my hair. I think she said that, but you just hear Perry just constantly just berating this woman, saying that she didn't want to sit next to her because she's fat. And she was just not a nice individual. So you see a black man trying to get Perry off this woman's hair, and she just starts trying to say that that's this woman's boyfriend and trying to say just derogatory words to this guy. And once they're able to get Perry's hands off this woman's hair, they're able to zip tie her hands behind her back. You just start seeing her do the easy little spits on this woman. And I mean, you just see her just hitting a little spit. And I'm not talking about the spit that you got like saliva in your mouth. I'm talking about probably like the little spits that you like, if you got something on the tip of your tongue and you just start spitting out into the wind to try to get it off. She starts doing this to this woman. And I'm surprised that this woman did not two-piece her up, give her a nice little pop to the face. Cause dog, you spitting on someone, that is, I feel to me, that's worse than you saying some words to me. That's worse than you throwing the bird at me. You are throwing your own saliva onto me. Now, I don't know what you ingested. I don't know what you done the night before. I don't know what you done this morning. I don't know what you done before you got on this flight. You know what I mean? You are putting your bowels, your nastiness, whatever you have in your body, and you're trying to spit it onto me. That is an act of war. That is an act of me wanting to put my foot so far up you that you will taste my straight up soles of my shoe. You understand? That is what that would call for if someone ever spits at me. That, to me, I stand on it. That is an art of war to me. So I'm surprised at this woman having the patience not to even just throw hands with this woman at all in any slight of way. I don't care if you're intoxicated or you're right-minded. You getting some type of hands and feet action on you if you ever do that to me or someone that I love first and foremost. So I do want to give great applause to the woman for holding herself and making sure that she did not go crazy on this woman. Secondly, I looked at this woman's, I just Googled Leanne Perry, and I was trying to see if any of these companies would be like cutting her off or anything. And I didn't see nothing of that at all. I didn't see Maybelline say they're going to cut ties from her. I didn't see nothing. I'm not certain she's still working with any of these people, but dog, this should be some type of red mark on her. But with her being white, and I got to say it because if it was any other ethnicity, to me, I feel that they would put like a little ticker on them and say like, we're cutting ties because you're making the brand look bad, especially with your drunkenness on a plane. I didn't see that. I didn't see no articles out there. I could be wrong by the time this episode is out, but I didn't see none. So for me, it just seems that this is just another form of, all right, fashion companies are just going to allow this to happen. They're probably going to talk to her. They're probably going to give her like a slap on the wrist and say, hey, next time something like this happens, we will no longer be doing work with you. This will be your one and only warning. As again, if it was another ethnicity, I don't think that would be the case for the situation that was recorded. But again, this Leanne Perry woman, she should have got deuced up right in the face. Because there's no nice and polite way to say I'm gonna mess you up when you spit on me. or grab someone's hair. There's none. So again, I'm hoping that she breaks away from whatever she took, whether it be drugs or alcohol. I know they say intoxicated, but she could have been on something else as well with alcohol, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I hope whatever she's on, she gets off of that, because the next time she happens to do that to someone, I guarantee they're not going to be as nice as that woman. They're probably going to mess her up big time, and there'll be nobody that could stop her or that would try to stop the person from messing her up. So that's just my thoughts on this social media video that I saw this week. Again, this Leanne Perry woman, get yourself together, because if not, next time I guarantee you're going to get a nice little two-piecers up to the face. I guarantee you that. Now, moving on for that, I got to talk about this. The next news story that I do have to talk about, Variety would report on it. They would say Fat Joe is sued for $20 million by former hype man in explosive complaint. Alleges rapper engaged in sex acts with minors and coerced him into more than 4,000 sexual acts to maintain his standing. Fat Joe's former hype man, Terrence Dixon, has filed an explosive lawsuit in federal court against the rapper on Thursday. Dixon is alleging that his former boss engaged in coercive labor, exploitation, financial fraud, sexual manipulation, violent intimidation, and psychological coercion. Dixon is seeking up to $20 million in damages. The complaint filed in U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York, contains so many disturbing claims that Fat Joe alleged sexual relations with women, including minors, that it contains a trigger warning on the first page of the 157-page document. Dixon served as Fat Joe's hype man for 16 years. Dixon is represented by Tyrone Blackburn, who is also the lead counsel in a high-profile case against Sean Diddy Combs. In February 2024, Blackburn filed a lawsuit on behalf of Diddy's accuser, Little Rodney, alleging sexual assault, sexual harassment, and failure to pay his underling. 1 month later, Department of Homeland Security agents conducted raids at Combs' mansions in Los Angeles and Miami. Dixon states in the complaint that Fat Joe forced him into humiliating situations, including sex acts performed under duress and surveillance, accompanied by threats of abandonment in foreign countries if he refused compliance. By his own estimation, Dixon states in the suit that he was coerced into more than 4,000 sexual acts to maintain his standing with the enterprise. Most shockingly, the suit claims that Dixon personally witnessed Fat Joe engage in sexual relations with children who were 15 and 16 years old, and lists 3 such Jane Does, including a 16-year-old Dominican girl in New York who, in exchange for cash, clothing, and payment of her cell phone bill, would perform oral sex and other sexual acts on Fat Joe. Minor Doe 2 is a Caucasian female and not a United States citizen. Fat Joe began his sexual relations with Minor Doe 2 when she was 15 years old after a concert overseas. Defendant flew Minor Doe 2 to New York City and Miami, Florida on multiple occasions. Due to Minor Doe 2's body being adolescent and not fully formed, defendant paid for her to get a Brazilian butt lift. And every time they say defendant, they're talking about Fat Joe. Minor Doe 2 eventually left defendant and is now married to a professional athlete, the complaint says. Minor Doe 3 is a Latino female who met the defendant when she was 15 years old, turning 16. According to Dixon, defendant was in love with Minor Doe 3. He even contemplated leaving his wife. The defendant paid all Minor Doe 3's bills and even took her overseas to his tour stops. He brought her to Florida and would put her up in a condo he rented a few blocks from his house with his wife. The lawsuit states, in a recorded conversation, Minor Doe 3 and her 15-year-old cousin described in detail to plaintiff how inappropriate it was for a defendant who was in his late 30s at the time to be fawning over children. Defendants in the suit also included Pistol Pete Torres and Richard Rich player Jasperi, who the complaint refers to as key associates in Fat Joe's criminal enterprise, asserting civil claims for violations of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act and Racketeer Influence and Corruption Organized Act, better known as a civil RICO, as well as related violations under New York and Florida law, including unjust enrichment, quantum merit, fraudulent concealment, fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and money laundering. That's a long mouthful, but you get the point. The suit additionally names Jay-Z's Rocket Nation, claiming that the company, which represents Fat Joe, knowingly participated in concealing and transferring and manipulating Dixon's authorship rights and royalty interests and sought to intimidate, harass, and obstruct the hype man's legitimate claims against Fat Joe, Torres, and Gaspari. Now, Variety would put in this article, they say that this lawsuit comes after Fat Joe sued Dixon in April for slandering him on social media by claiming that Fat Joe, who enjoys high-level political connections, flew a 16-year-old girl across state lines for sex. That suit also named Dixon's lawyer, Tyrone Blackburn, claiming the pair tried to shake him down for a settlement. Dixon would say to Variety in an exclusive interview, "This is the right way to fight Joe through the system. You can't fight him no other way. Joe thinks he's God. Joe thinks he's untouchable." So this is where we're at with this. This thing just got put together and thrown out to the world, and I don't know what to think about all this right now. Do I think that we have some entertainers that do some nasty things when they're out of the country or even inside the country? Yeah. We've seen it many times with people in the movie industry, people in the music industry. You can look at even with Puff right now, even though his stuff was freak-offs, those were not, people would kind of go on the side of maybe they were consensual, maybe they weren't consensual, but you've seen a lot of freaky stuff in the world of entertainment, especially with those type of people. So can I believe that Fat Joe might have done something with some women? Maybe. Do I think he did something with some underage females? I don't know. I'm not even going to try to even put my thoughts into that one, but do I think he could have easily cheated on his wife? Of course. Of course, without a doubt. I think a lot of entertainers do that, whether they're man or female. I think if you're a man in this entertainment space, you're more than likely have cheated on your spouse. If you're a female, I think you're more than likely have cheated on your spouse as well. I think anybody in the entertainment space, whether you're a person in the TV industry, movie industry, music industry, you play sports, I think you've at least messed around outside of your relationship status with your spouse, or on your spouse, if you will, or your partner. I think that has happened. There's only a slim few that haven't, but I would say a big majority of them have. So, do I think Fat Joe, again, did that with any women that were under the age of legal? I'm hoping not, but anything can happen because, again, the entertainment industry, it is what it is. But yeah, this thing just happened. This thing was just filed Thursday. I'm pretty sure we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of it as the weeks go by. But I did mention this on my Wednesday episode because I talked about Tyler Perry. He's being sued by one of his former actors on one of his shows. He's being sued, I believe, for like sexual assault, sexual harassment, I believe, and the dude's looking for $260 million, if I remember correctly. He's looking for that much. Again, there is something going on in the urban genre where a lot of people that are big or that were once big are getting sued by people that they've either worked with or the people that worked for them. Because remember, Smokey Robinson, I believe he's getting sued by some of his former housekeepers because they said that he messed with them. He sexually assaulted them. And that's happening. Shannon Sharp, I ain't let that one go yet. That happened only, a couple months ago? I believe like around early April, late March. He got hit with a suit as well. So again, a lot of things is happening in the urban field, and I think that if you are someone in the urban field, whether you are a legend or someone that's you're on the come up, you need to be careful. You need to make sure you're not doing anything dirty. And if you did do anything dirty, you better hope that it's not something that's going to end up biting you in the butt. Because again, a lot of stuff that has happened in the dark is starting to show off in the light, and it could take you down. Obviously, we're seeing what's happening right now with Puff's trial. We still got to wait to see what's going to happen with that one, but certain people say it's not looking good. But we'll wait and see until a verdict actually happens, because that's whenever we will really know if it was good or not. But yeah, if you're in the urban space right now, if you're on the come up, or you're already at the top, or you're a retired legend, make sure you didn't do anything dirty, or you are doing something dirty. Quit now and try to make amends with these people and try to give them what they need and what they're asking for. Because again, you don't want to have to go to court, and you could ultimately get some sentences and some years going to jail. You know what I mean? So again, if you've done something dirty, try to make amends to the people that you did something dirty to. But if you can't, hey man, whatever comes to you because you did something dirty. But I don't know about Fat Joe. We'll have to wait and see. When more information comes out, I'll bring it back onto this podcast here. But yeah, the urban space, it's been getting hit, bro. It's been getting hit this year. And it is what it is in that one. Now, moving off of the Fat Joe topic, now I want to move over to the last thing that I do want to discuss, and it's in the sports field, and it's talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. ESPN would write up an article about it. They will say the Buss family to sell the Lakers to Mark Walter for $10 billion. The Buss family is entering into an agreement to sell majority ownership of the Los Angeles Lakers to Mark Walter for a franchise valuation of approximately $10 billion. Sources to ESPN on Wednesday, the highest ever for a U.S. professional sports franchise. The Buss family will keep a minority share of the team for just over 15% for a period of time, a source said. In addition, Jeannie Buss will remain the Lakers' governor and continue to run the team for at least a number of years, sources with knowledge of the deal told ESPN's Ramona Shelburne. It was guaranteed as part of the agreement that Buss would remain in charge for the foreseeable future, and Walter fully endorsed this plan according to the sources. Walter, the CEO and chairman of Diversified Holdings Company, TWG Global, has been a shareholder in the Lakers since 2021 when he purchased Phil Ascharch. I'm hoping I'm saying his name right, but it doesn't really matter. Share of the 26%. That also was when Walter received a right of first refusal on the majority share of the team. Walter and the TWG Global have interest in multiple professional sports operations or organizations, including the Los Angeles Dodgers, Los Angeles Sparks. They're just basically listing off all these other professional organizations that they basically have a hand in. So they want a bigger piece of the pie of the Lakers, and I'm not mad at the Buss family for wanting to give away or make a deal for $10 billion for majority ownership over to this organizations. Because I want to read you something right now. Okay, I want to read you this. They say that when Jerry Buss died in 2023, ownership of the Lakers went into a trust controlled by his 6 children, all who worked for the Lakers in various capacities for several years. An agreement was struck in 2017 calling for Jeannie Buss to serve as controlling owner, ending a battle that included her going to court after her brothers Jim and Johnny Buss called for a board meeting that she interpreted as a challenge to her power. Shortly after, she removed Jim Buss as the Lakers' executive vice president of basketball operations. The intended sale to Walter was approved by the Buss siblings through a majority vote, sources told ESPN. So the family more than likely had to vote, and I don't know who wanted to keep it, but as I said, a majority vote took it, so whoever lost out, they're probably pissed off. But let me say this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Your people will be fine. Your family will be fine. You guys are going to be eating off of $10 billion. That's 10 billies, by the way. Not 10 M's, 10 billy goats you guys getting as a family. Dog, and you still get 15% of the Lakers, because they said they will keep a minority stake of the team. Just over 15% for a period of time. So you still, I feel if you have that, you still make some money off of it, per se. So you're still making money on money. I just don't think you're going to be holding as much stakes or receiving a big of a pie as you did previously. But it doesn't matter. Your family is fine. Your family is good. The siblings that wanted to keep it, yo, dog, I guarantee you those were the siblings that probably weren't doing much in that organization. Because let me tell you something. When you are a sibling and you know you're going to be the one that has to look after something once your parents are gone, that becomes a weight on your head. Be like, oh my God, all right, let me try to do this. Let me try to manage this, as your other siblings are probably going to be fiddling their thumbs or trying to do something and they're not doing it to the level of which it needs to be done. So it's up to you as a person to say, you know what, I'm not going to constantly just beat my head into a wall with this. No, I'm going to sell this thing off. I'm going to get the money. We're going to split it up and we're going to end this headache. Because I admire Mark Cuban. I admire Cuban for that exact reason. Mark Cuban, I believe he was the majority owner, or he held majority stakes in the Dallas Mavericks. He sold his majority stake in December of 2023. I looked this up for $3.5 billion. He, however, retains a 27% ownership stake, and he does control the basketball operations. The reasonings that he did sell, he would say while the sale was a significant financial transaction, Cuban also cited a desire to reduce the pressure on his family and to adapt to the changing NBA landscape. But for them to say first and foremost to reduce the pressure on his family, that tells you he doesn't want his kids to have to deal with this basketball team after he's gone. No, we're going to take the money and they're going to be able to handle the money and all this stuff when I'm gone. They don't have to deal with a basketball team after I'm gone. No, that makes no sense, especially if they don't have no type of love to basketball the way that I do. And I'm not saying that the Jeannie Buss and her brothers don't have no type of love for the Los Angeles Lakers, but let's keep it a buck. If you were born into that, it could get tiresome, and especially if you are the person that has to hold all the decisions the way that they say Jeannie Buss did, because she served as the controlling owner. It probably got tiresome on the person, the sibling. They probably didn't want to do it anymore, and they probably said, you know what, we're going to make this thing happen. So, again, I'm not mad at the Buss family for selling majority stake of the Los Angeles Lakers for $10 billion. As I said, 10 billy goats. It's not a bad thing. Anybody in that family that hates it, that just tells me you guys are more likely the ones that weren't doing something. Because if everybody was pulling their part, guess what? You guys wouldn't be in that kind of conversation. You guys wouldn't be trying to sell it like that. But I guarantee you there were siblings that weren't pulling their part, and that's the reason why this majority stakes of the sale happened. But yeah, man, congratulations to the Buss family. You guys get $10 billion when this deal goes through. But yeah, congrats. And that's, again, the highest for a U.S. professional sports franchise. So the Lakers being sold off for $10 billion, that's the highest in sports in America. Congratulations. So with that said, I believe that's everything that I do want to discuss with you guys. So now with that stated, it is now time for me to get you guys out of here. I would like to thank all the podcasting sites for allowing me to be on here. I'd like to thank Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, iHeart, and all the other podcasting sites that have me up on here, because without them, I won't be able to get this podcast out to you guys, the downloaders and listeners. So I would like to thank them first and foremost. But not so far behind, I would like to thank you guys, the downloaders, the people that listen to this podcast, that download this podcast, and just listen to me rant and rave about news stories. I appreciate every single one of you guys that listen to this in your homes, in your cars, in your headphones, at the gym, or just on the walk. I appreciate that because I see the algorithms, I see where it's coming from. I appreciate everybody, and I just want everyone to know that it is not missed on me. The people that are downloading this, it's very, very much appreciated. And again, I just want to say thank you so much for that. Now, with that stated, always remember,
I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you.
This is not a gimmick. That is 100% authentic. I truly do mean that. I do love every single one of you guys. I want everyone to have a great and lovely day. I want everyone to have a great week. You'll hear from me again on my Wednesday episode, which is the midweek breakdown episode, my Thursday episode, which is a wrestling related episode, Saturday, another wrestling related episode as well, and next Sunday you'll hear from me again on my 2 Cents podcast news related episode for Sunday. So with that being said, this has been your My 2 Cents podcast, presented by and hosted by G2. He is I and I am him. I want everyone to have a great and lovely day, a lovely week. You'll hear from me soon. This is a goodbye. This is until you hear from the sweet sounding voice again. Don't be a dick. Be nice and cordial to everyone that you come in contact with. And with that being said, Kanye, could you please take these people home?
I'm tired, you tired, Jesus wept.